Russia will be holding elections very soon, and there are some videos that are going viral on social media, one of which has a homophobic message for voters. Now, the whole point of this video is to encourage people to vote, even though it doesn't really matter. Putin's gonna win.
Yeah.
But the video is set on the eve of the election, and it begins with a couple ready for bed. Let me set it up for you, give you a little context to what you're about to see. Now, the woman tells her husband that she's set the alarm to get up and vote the next morning. He mockingly tells her her vote is not important, that they will choose someone without her, and that she should turn off the alarm. Now, at that point, the homophobic fear-mongering begins. Take a look.
Люсь, Так, это что еще за хрен?
Я вообще-то гей на передержке.
Кто?
Ну ты чего? Сегодня по закону любая семья должна брать гея на передержку, тех, которых партнер оставил. Ну, неделя осталась. Если он никого не найдет себе в пару, тогда тебе придется с ним быть.
Закон есть закон. Послушайте, мне кажется, нам нужно с вами очень серьезно поговорить.
Я пытаюсь тебя понять, понимаешь? Я пытаюсь с тобой.
So the point of the video is, if you don't get out there and vote, the politician you don't like is going to pass laws that allow gay people to stay in your home. I don't get it. But
Yeah.
what doesn't surprise me is that there was a homophobic message, because for everyone who thinks Russia is this great place and doesn't ever deserve any criticism, if you could remember, just back in 2012, they had started passing laws that essentially persecuted gay people. So this is just a symptom of that.
Yeah. So by the way, homophobia is not the only issue in that ad. I don't know if you caught it in that little snippet there, but at a different portion of the ad, the military general shows up, which you see him with him and the two guards. One of the guards who shows up with the general is black in Russia. So they're going to send black people to your house to enforce the law in Russia, okay? And then they're going to put gay people in your house. And then the ad eventually ends with the gay guy in bed with that guy. He seems like he's waking up from a dream, but then it's the gay guy in his bed. So why bother is a good question, because you think we've got rigged elections, you should get a load of Russia. So Putin will literally not allow the most popular opponents of him to run an election. He just says, well, you're banned, and I'm done with that. Well, that must be convenient.
They'll make up nonsense criminal charges against his opponent, the opponent who actually has a shot at winning, and then that person is unable to run against Putin.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't even bother making up charges. They're like, you're just not allowed to run. That's it, I'm done with you, okay? But most of the time, the political opponents are imprisoned. Sometimes they're killed mysteriously. I mean, I'm sure Putin has nothing to do with it. Journalists covering the mysterious disappearances are also killed, or decided to commit suicide by dropping a piano on their own heads. So why bother doing this ad? Because Putin wants to have big numbers. So he can go out there and go, by the way, his main opponent, who is not allowed in the race, Alexei Navalny, the leader of the Progress Party, is urging voters his supporters not to vote. He's like, it's a sham election, don't even bother, right? But so then Putin wants all of his supporters to go out there so he can say, what, 80% of the country is on my side. Total nonsense, garbage. I get why the right wingers like this dictator.
Yeah.
He's friends with Trump, and he likes to fix our elections like he likes to fix his elections. But there's some progressives who still defend this guy.
What I want to know about those progressives is, did they defend him when he sent members of Pussy Riot to prison for 2 years because they had the audacity to protest at a Catholic church? Were you supportive of Putin back then?
Are you supportive of Putin when his allies run ads like this, creating demagoguery to rile up his base to hate others like gay people in the country? What part of this thug right-wing dictator do you enjoy as a progressive?
No, Cenk, let's immediately distract from the conversation by talking about everything that the US does that we don't like.
Yeah.
Even though it's completely unrelated to this particular story. But let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and by the way, look, you can tell we're a little frustrated about this issue. Again, Republicans, I understand. They would love a strong man like this that blames blacks and gays, et cetera, in this country for their problems. They would celebrate it. And so I understand their motivation completely. But if you're a progressive, you are allowed to do and think two things at once. You're allowed to say the US has done a lot of terrible things and we look forward to fixing them. And here's the policy position is to fix them. And at the same time say, hey, maybe Putin and this current Russian government doesn't have the best of intentions for its own people, for us, or for anyone else.
I mean, the guy murders political opponents and journalists. How could any progressive say that they're in support of this guy? He's nothing but pure evil.
And so, oh no, you guys are doing Red Scare, fear mongering. What is this ad great? No, let me guess. Some Russian bot told you, no, that ad is actually not run by Putin allies, even though it seems to support Putin 100%. It's actually run by Hillary Clinton. Whatever, okay. All right, so, and by the way, the person who probably convinced you of that online was probably a robot. So enjoy that.
Yeah.
So if you take offense, look, if you don't think any of that stuff, then don't take offense. Say, hey, listen, you know what? Whether Putin is a bad guy or not is not related to the different issues that I care about. Nothing wrong with that stance. Okay, it's not related. I agree with you. Those issues are monumentally important. You say the mainstream media doesn't cover them enough. Absolutely right. The Democrats are using it as an excuse for losing the election. Absolutely right. So if you're in that camp, God bless. We got no beef at all, right? If you're in the weirdo camp that you think Putin is a good guy and that any criticism of his government is somehow against the Russian people and is meant to distract because we can only focus on one thing at a time, meant to distract from all the other things that are going on wrong in the world, well, then we don't agree, and that's that. If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now, tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.